Friends, we have big news coming out of Europe as well as the Middle East. And I'm not exaggerating in any way, shape, or form. We're talking about active hostilities between the United States and Russia, as well as major things going down in Israel. We need to talk about these things. I don't know if you guys have been watching the news and seeing... I haven't seen too many prepper channels talking about it just yet. A lot of the details just kind of coming out still about two major incidents over in Russia. So there was a U.S. missile. There was a large missile attack fired by Ukraine over Russian areas in Crimea. And one of those missiles dropped cluster munitions on a crowded tourist beach and killed 5 civilians. And Russia is already said that they will hold the United States personally accountable for this. And there's some reasons for that. We'll talk about why they're going to be holding the United States personally accountable. And like I said, it's been a very bad day for Russia on a number of fronts. There was a major terrorist attack out in Dagestan. This did not seem to have anything to do with Ukraine or the United States, but it just kind of made a bad day much worse. There was a large-scale terrorist attack by basically insurgents, Muslim insurgents, terrorists inside Russia, and a Russian Orthodox priest was killed, and 14 others were also killed. A good number of them were actually police officers. There was a major gun battle. This is in 2 separate cities, so it was a coordinated strike. It looks like some of the leaders in the Islamic community in that area were involved, or their children were, and just it's a big deal. We need to talk about why. And then there was also, Russia had a high-rise fire that was big publicized out there. Again, having nothing to do with anything else, but it was a high-rise fire where a number of people jumped. And, with the cameras rolling and stuff like that. So Russia is very upset right now. And the easiest place to take it out on is the United States. And that's what it seems like they're doing. They're already declaring a no-fly zone over the Black Sea. Now, Russia has never done a no-fly zone before, but the United States really loves doing this all over the place. Basically, anything in this zone, we're going to shoot it out of the sky. Up till now, that's been international airspace, and anyone's free to fly through there. Russia's saying they're going to shoot anything down over the Black Sea now. That's big news out there. Russia's already hinting at the fact that they may give advanced weaponry to United States enemies as retribution. There's a lot to cover on this. We got major jamming happening across Israel, and it's not the Israelis, it seems like. And Israel has basically formally said that they're going to be going into Lebanon. And we're going to talk about that too. So like I said, World War III news is all over the place right now. So let's start off with the cluster munitions that landed on the beach in Russia, in Crimea or Ukraine, depending on your perspective on things. Anyway, I've always been of the opinion of whoever physically controls it, that's who it belongs to, because they physically control it. Anyway, that's not politically correct necessarily. Anyway, we have, a number of ATACMS missiles were launched against a number of targets. It looked like they were trying to hit some refineries and some military targets and stuff like that, but they flew a particular path. One of those missiles was armed with cluster munitions, and it was apparently hit by a Russian air defense system, and it detonated essentially in the air, but it had cluster munitions on board, and so those got dropped. And it happened to be flying right over a crowded tourist beach. Now, some people are out there saying that the United States and Ukraine targeted the beach. And that does not seem to be the case. Russia is not saying that Ukraine or the United States targeted the beach. What they are saying is that they were negligent in flying it directly over a crowded tourist beach in order to basically make it harder for the Russian air defense systems to engage it, or so that the Russian air defense systems wouldn't engage it. So that's kind of where we're at with that, is that Russia is saying, well, one, and you can see it in the flight software and everything like that, that there was a United States Global Hawk doing patrols off the coast of Crimea in the Black Sea, observing something. What were they observing? Well, among other things, this attack, apparently. Now, whether it was just observing or it was also guiding and tracking the missiles and everything like that en route, Russia is saying that these missiles were programmed by United States soldiers, which apparently, because they were cluster munitions, apparently the United States is not letting Ukraine just fire off these missiles without them being programmed, their flight paths being programmed by United States soldiers, in order to make sure the cluster munitions don't, like, say, I don't know, kill 5 civilians on a beach with another 120 plus civilians wounded. That's not supposed to happen, and that's kind of why the United States has soldiers over there programming and doing the programming for the routes and everything like that. They used satellite imagery and satellite data from the United States, and so for those reasons, basically that they're saying that the United States made decisions on this and had command authority over what happened, and that the United States is therefore responsible for the flight path that this took, and therefore the United States is responsible for it. The initial movement, Putin got on TV and he lit into the United States and said that the United States is personally responsible for this. Like I said, the only thing that has come out officially so far is that Russia will close the entire Black Sea and create a no-fly zone over the Black Sea. Any American or allied coalition aircraft that are up over the Black Sea will now be legitimate military targets, which you can imagine is a big deal. And part of the deal with that, too, is the United States can't take an aircraft carrier into the Black Sea. That's by treaty already. There is limits on the military vessels that are allowed to be in the Black Sea. The United States and other non-Black Sea territory countries are limited on number of tonnage, the types of ships they're allowed to send in, and basically I think it's like the United States can send like 1 or 2 ships in at a time. And this is Turkey that's enforcing this. They're not allowed to go through the Bosphorus Strait unless they meet this quota kind of thing. The countries that actually have a coastline with the Black Sea, they're allowed to do basically whatever they want to. So this is Russia's puddle, basically. Russia and Turkey's puddle. And the United States would be at a distinct disadvantage if it was trying to do combat operations over the Black Sea. If we decide to challenge that no-fly zone with fighter jets and such, this could be a major showdown over the next number of days or weeks, whatever that looks like. Like I said, over in Dagestan, which is a Muslim minority area, this area had 2 simultaneous terrorist attacks in which 15 people were killed and more were injured and wounded. It was a major gun battle between these terrorists and the police, and this is a really big deal, and it's playing all over the place. It's a big deal over there. Like I said, it made their day a whole lot worse, and so Russia is kind of wanting their pound of flesh right now, and because they can only go so far going after terrorists, they aren't holding the United States responsible for that, at least at this point. But what they are doing is that they're kind of going even more overboard on the cluster munitions issue of Crimea. All right, so we got that. And then let's move down to Israel, because we got big stuff coming out of Israel too. Major jamming that we haven't seen since before the terrorist attack by Hamas on Israel back last October. We haven't seen this type of jamming. It's messing up all the locations on aircraft. There is someone doing demonstrations showing that aircraft that were known to be parked at Tel Aviv were showing up as if they were actually in Beirut. So major jamming all the way going out to Cyprus, to Lebanon. This may be United States coalition jamming. It could be Israel, or it could be another third party out there that is trying to mess up with Israel, possibly. So no word yet on what is going on with that exactly, but Netanyahu got to the Knesset, which is their parliament, basically, and he stood up and gave a speech, and there were a bunch of protesters demanding the release of the Hamas hostages, and that Israel should do whatever it takes to get them back, negotiate in any way, form, in order to get them back. He committed to getting the hostages back, that he would continue the fight against Hamas until they won and got the hostages back. But he also said some other things that are interesting. One is that he sees the combat operations in Gaza winding down in the near future, which will allow them to shift troops to the northern border in preparation for the attack on Lebanon. And now some of this is like kind of coded and such like that. But one of the things he said is that we will not stop fighting until all of the Israelis in the north can move back into their homes. Right now, they can't do that because it's too close to the border with Lebanon, and Lebanon is shooting into Israel with anti-tank missiles that they don't seem to have a very good track record of intercepting, because they just go straight, they don't go up and over. Israel's doing very good at taking out ballistic missiles, is doing a very good job taking out cruise missiles, but these anti-tank missiles, they're basically like javelins, basically. They just fly straight, and whether they're wire guided or not, I don't think they're wire guided, but it's that type of munition. It's Israel's not having a good intercept rate on those things. And so anything that they can like line of sight see, these things are basically getting through and hitting buildings, hitting military places, and even vehicles and such. So Israel's going to have to invade Lebanon in order for people to move back into these cities and towns right along the northern border. So that's another indication. He's saying basically they're not going to stop fighting until that happens. Now you also have to realize something, that Netanyahu is not the most popular guy right now in Israel. But people are kind of mostly behind Netanyahu because there's a war on. But as soon as this war is over, his coalition's already collapsed. They're all just kind of unified out of a sense of solidarity, more so. So Netanyahu knows that his political career is over as soon as the fighting's over. So when you take that into account, it kind of makes sense that he is politically motivated. I'm not saying that this is trumps everything for him, but you got to understand people's motivations, right? And his motivation is to win the war. And that's the only way that he can potentially get back into political power, is to win this thing somehow. And that also includes that it needs to take a little bit longer, because he needs to get back into popularity. He needs to do kind of what Israel couldn't think is possible, and a major offensive into southern Lebanon. And when I say offensive, I mean an invasion. They're looking to invade Lebanon. And because Hezbollah is right along that border, basically Hezbollah owns southern Lebanon, and the Lebanese army visits these places, but Hezbollah basically runs the border. And Hezbollah is the one firing rockets and missiles and everything like that into northern Israel. And Israel wants to go in there and basically up to the Litani River, clear out and do street to street, tunnel to tunnel, clear out all of Hezbollah from that whole area and create this buffer zone, potentially permanently, to allow people to move back into their homes and towns up in northern Israel. So all these things that I've talked about, big deal. When we talk about what will Russia do in revenge to the United States, how will they hold the United States accountable? Since they're basically saying that we've given these missiles that to Russia's enemy, and we're giving them capabilities and that they do not have naturally. They have the no-fly zone coming up. That's going to happen. But I don't think that's really what is going to be the retribution. And so some people have speculated already that Russia may either give advanced weaponry, missiles, cruise missiles, hypersonic missiles to Iran in order to get to its puppet states, potentially down with the Houthis in Yemen. Next time we have an aircraft carrier pull up off the coast of Yemen, what happens if they start firing advanced Russian missiles at the U.S. carriers as opposed to the bottle rockets they've been throwing around recently? Most of their sinkings that they've accomplished have been through surface remote-controlled boats packed with explosives. There have been a couple of incidents where they had a drone, a flying drone that was able to make contact and hit one of these cargo ships. Like I said, yesterday they had another cargo ship get sunk. Sunday, they had another cargo ship that they sunk off the coast of Yemen. Now, also the other question is, what happens if Russia turns around and gives to Hezbollah advanced missiles, potentially to attack U.S. ships off the coast of Lebanon? Now, they wouldn't necessarily want to do that against Israel, but if they give them anti-ship capabilities to Lebanon so that when the United States pulls its ships up to support Israel's invasion of Lebanon, they can then reach out and hit our boats. So this is some of the things that are speculated out there, potentially giving advanced weaponry or nuclear weapons to Iran, North Korea, or potentially like Cuba or someone else like that. I don't think their relationship with Cuba is anywhere like it used to be. Cuba is just basically doing its own thing out there. You know, it's like the sad kid that's staring at the wall over there. When it comes to geopolitics, Cuba is basically just, who knows what they're doing. They're not really doing anything. North Korea, at least they're kind of, sort of doing something, I guess, whatever that is. But they don't like South Korea, and they don't like the United States and the West, and they're kind of doing their thing. Cuba, who knows what they're doing. They're just there. I mean, they're not going to stand up to the United States. They're too cowardly to do that. They don't have a military to do that with. I mean, that'd be suicide if they tried launching missiles at Florida or something like that. So that's just insane. That's just not going to happen. The threat of that might scare the United States, but I don't think that that's really what Russia's looking for right now. Russia does have a tendency to take a little bit of time to to carry out their threats. When they say that they're going to do something, they usually do something, but sometimes it takes several weeks before we actually see that. And then it's always kind of like, was that them? Was that the thing? Or should we be waiting for something else? Russia doesn't often telegraph its hits. Now, like I said, Putin is under tremendous pressure right now. They've had a very bad couple of days, and there's a lot of pressure from the public for him to do something. And so he may need to do something more publicly in order to justify his position and to show that he is truly watching out for Russians. All right, friends, that's what we got for you. Big news all over the place. We'll keep you updated with what's going on out there as best we can as things unfold. Watch yourselves. Stay prepping. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report.